For a while, everyone was stunned. The other had reached a far better answer than Free by thinking of the problem as a riddle. Erika had already known both answers and had even spotted the mistake made by Book. The others could do nothing but stare at those two in surprise.
すごいわ。頭が硬かったのは私たちなの？
これは乾杯ですな。
私たちは3次元で考えたけれど、どうもバトラ君とエリカちゃんは次元がもう一つ上だったみたいね。
だいぶ魔女とのゲームで鍛えられたようじゃないですか。条件なき問題、すなわち赤き真実の外側は全て観測者の自由自在。魔女の密室の感激を縫う基本中の基本。
何の話だ？小説か何かの引用か？
まあそういうことにしておきます。それにしてもどなたの脳みそもカチンコチンの石ころチーズってわけですね。
Without any signs of restraint, Erika looked at everyone and laughed sarcastically. Only Maria didn't notice the venom in that laugh, as she happily turned to the next page. Okay. Another puzzle, eh?
3つのコップと6枚のコインがあります。3つのコップそれぞれにコインが1枚、2枚、3枚になるように分けてください。
So that there's 1 coin in 1 cup, 2 coins in another cup, and 3 coins in a third cup. Now it sounds easy, but this kind of reminds me of another type of puzzle in Professor Layton, where you have like 3 or 4 canisters, it kind of depends, and you have to put like a specific number of liters in one cup, in one container, and then another specific number of liters in another container and such. And they have like limits and such, and you kind of have to split them after like a few number of times. You put some stuff in a container, and then you put that container in a completely different container. It kind of reminds me of that. So I wonder if this is gonna be the same.
おいおい、そんなの簡単じゃねえかよ。最初のコップにコインを1枚、次のコップに2枚、最後のコップに3枚入れて出来上がりだぜ。
ではそれを5枚のコインでもできるでしょうか。
また陳腐な問題が出てきましたね。
Do the same thing with only 5 coins, you say? So you still want 1 coin in 1 cup, 2 coins in another, and 3 coins in the third one. But you only have 5 coins? Is that it?
まさか皆さん、この程度の問題にまた瞬きをいくつも費やされるおつもりで？
By now, Erika was gazing around with an unpleasant look, acting in a manner that was completely inappropriate both for a guest and for someone her age. She was no longer a guest who would be staying until the storm passed. She had transformed into an annoying guest who wouldn't leave until the storm passed. You split the coin in 2. Horizontally. I mean, unless there are some rules against that, I mean, you can totally do that. I mean, there is really no definition for what constitutes as a coin, really. Like, you could just say that, oh, a coin is something round. Like, with a monetary value on its face and all that. So you can totally, well, not necessarily. As long as it's something spherical and golden slash silver, it can constitute as a coin. So if you split it, like you split one coin in two, those two parts can be considered two coins. So you would have 6 in that case. So you would be able to solve the puzzle that way. Everyone thought this, but they were unable to say it aloud.
Ah, コインの問題っていうと、ほら、お箸の使い方がうまいかどうかは、コインをお箸で掴めるかどうかでわかるそうだね。
Oh, chopsticks. I bet that this is gonna trigger Erika a little bit over here.
お箸。
Oh.
そうです。お箸です。
Okay, I was partly joking over there, but I guess it was to be expected.
お箸は世界で最も優雅な食器です。突き刺し、引きちぎって口に運ぶナイフとフォークなんて野蛮の極み。お箸こそが最高です。私の箸使いこそが芸術。
Jessica was about to say, isn't a chopstick just a stick? But stopped herself just in time. She realized that it was best to let George take control for now.
小銭あるけど、ちょっと僕と競争してみない？僕もお箸の持ち方には厳しいんだ。
そやな。ジョージの箸は随分厳しく教えたんや。確かにテーブルマナーは育ちが出てしまうものだ。エリカさんの持ち方もなかなかに良い。
俺の小銭も貸してやるぜ。枚数が多い方が面白いだろ。
Alright, well, in that case, bring it on. I did bring up my pair of chopsticks over here. My trustworthy chopsticks. My good old friends' chopsticks that I brought them like yesterday. Really bonded with them like over the day and such. So, let's see about this one. Let me position myself over here. Oh, my bad.
ジェシカ、よく見て覚えなさい。
うせえぜ。
よし、競争しよう。ここにある小銭をどれだけ多く自分のお皿に移せるか。
望むところです。お箸、お箸。
This time, George has steered the conversation into a good direction. Everyone else understood, and he helped to get angle on this chopstick fight, and he changed the subject. Alright, you get me, Erika. Let's do this. Let's go all Beyblade on this shit. Now, we're fully aware by now that Erika was extremely proud of her intelligence. And apparently, she had a bad habit of using that to look down on other people. She spun her chopsticks around her fingers with the dexterity of stage magician, staring at the coins scattered on a table like a dog waiting for permission to eat the food placed before him. Yeah, well, I can do that shit too. Watch. Let me do it. Oh, shit. Oh. Wait, are we just gonna ignore the puzzle though? I mean, we got distracted with those chopsticks over there, but what about the puzzle? About the coin puzzle? I mean, I guess I can understand what the game is trying to do over here, if this is what we're trying to do over here, in the sense that this coin puzzle is probably not going to be mentioned, like, anytime soon, so we are going to have to think about it ourselves. And not just in a what the solution is, but what it represents. Because remember when we did that cheese puzzle right over there? We did that puzzle with the cheese before, and yeah, you know, this actually encompasses what Umineko is doing with its story, in the sense that if you do not have like strict rules and such, if you do not have like, if you do not observe some stuff, then yeah, you are more flexible with your mind in terms of what you can do and such. Like, you can interpret things differently than if you were to know what the cheese looks like. So maybe there is a meaning behind that puzzle as well, with the coin and cup and such. I just have to think about it. Well, the thing is, we don't know the actually. Like, we have to figure out the solution first and then figure out the meaning behind it. We don't know the rules of the coin puzzle. I mean, we just got cut there because of George directing the whole thing with the chopsticks. So, it's free ground to think of, like, multiple things. Although, the only thing that I can think of right now is just splitting a coin in two and such. If there's any other way of looking at it... Also, hey, hold on a second. We are here again? Just when it seemed to be crying out sadly, it would suddenly turn into a roar and rattle the windows, sticking up even more fear and unease within me. Light from the hallway poured in through the thin crack of the slightly open door, and it seemed to carry with laughter that was warm and happy, but very distant. Oh. I see. So this could very well be like the moment that we've seen, like at the beginning with this. It is a parallel to what is happening in the dining hall with the family doing puzzles and such. Maybe. I'm sure everyone's in the dining hall or somewhere, having a good time. I want to go there as soon as I can. I'm sure my family will be there. I hate being all alone in a place like this. Dad. Mom. I suddenly tried again and again to open the door. But the merciless chain just wouldn't let the door open any further than that crack. On the contrary, feeling this close to a way out just made me more impatient. Gulping and trying to ignore the fear lurking behind me, I quietly closed the door. And that light coming out of the crack is just a trap. This is an iron shackle, trying to keep me locked in here for eternity by making me think I'm just an inch away from getting out a door that will never actually open. I need to get out of this creepy room as soon as possible. When I closed the door, all that filled the room was that eerie sound of wind and rain. The way the wind picked up every now and then and shook the window frames felt like a monster in a cage shaking the bars. And I was so scared of that monster, I couldn't help but avert my gaze from the windows. I gotta search. If I can't get out the door, I need to find another way out. Just to the side of the door was a closet. There was only enough space inside to hang overcoats. Of course, it didn't connect to anywhere outside the room. If this were hide and seek, it'd probably be fun to hide in there. Like, I'm trying to think of the puzzle from before. Like, okay, we can go like two ways. Either I think of a second solution to the puzzle, which is totally fine, you can think of other solutions, and figure out the meaning. And there's also figure out the meaning behind the solution that I gave previously about cutting the coin in two. I guess a part of me thinks that maybe, like, oh my god, this, like, once again, this references my idea about Shannon and Kanon being the one and the same. I mean, there is one person, but they can split in two different people, like Shannon and Kanon, even though they share the same body. In which case, If I go in there, maybe I won't be able to get out of their closet next. This nonsensical fear sent a massive shiver up my spine. I closed the closet door in a hurry. Maybe this is a metaphor for once you go deeper and deeper into the darkness, the harder it will be for you to get out and be free. Like, yeah, you're closed inside your room, but it would be much easier to get out of the room than if you were to try and get out of the closet and the room as well. You have like much more difficult time to get out of the darkness. In similar fashion to a human being who has gone down so hard. They are in such a depressive state that it will be much harder for them to get out of that. Yeah. There's one door left. And you know, if I'm to think that this is Angie, then it is a pretty good metaphor, if I do say so myself. Like, closing you inside, like, more and more as time goes on. When I opened it, there was the bath and toilet. Of course, there was no exit. There weren't even any windows. If I turned the faucet, water would probably come out, then disappear down the drain and flow outside. But I couldn't get out that way. Unless I went into the bathtub with the stopper pulled out of the drain and smashed my flesh and bones to bits. I had a feeling that this was the only way out. So the black stopper in the bathtub drain looked extremely terrifying. I tried a lot of things, both mentally and physically, but there really was no way out getting through the bathroom. All that was left was the windows. The view through the window was pitch black darkness, and the fierce winds and rain were slamming against the glass. Yeah, well, again, thinking of that metaphor from before, the outside world, or breaking yourself out of the shell, can seem pretty scary. Like, you see the outside as something very, very dark and bad, and you are afraid of it, but yeah, you do have to smash through that. The darkness on the other side of the window may have been unsettling, but I didn't really care where I went, as long as it was outside this room. However, the window was clamped shut, right down the middle of the window, which was made to swing open like a set of double doors. There were several ugly metal clamps. Ugh. It was even more unnerving than the chain on the door, like a rough operation scar on some bizarre monster. The wind and rain slammed against and shook the window frame, making it creak loudly. However, unlike the door, this wouldn't open even a crack. I've had enough. Give it a rest already. What the hell's going on with this room? Oh, close my heart. I've had enough of this creepy room. Enough, enough, enough! It's impossible to go outside except by the door and windows. And compared to that thick door, the window looks like it might be possible to break. I'll smash it. I'll swing a chair at it, the glass will probably break. I might even be able to smash the wooden grid dividing up the window. All I need to do is make a gap large enough to slip out of. I grabbed the fancy-looking antique chair and head back to the window. Smash that chair against it. Over and over. The glass smashed with a violent sound, and the frame groaned and creaked. I hit it again, over and over. I just break through this wooden frame. Damn it. What the hell? Even though the glass had been smashed apart, even though the cold rain is blowing in and toward me, just can't get that frame to break. They aren't iron bars. It's just a delicate wooden mesh. It's fragile enough to make that creaking sound. So why doesn't it break? Wait. Maybe it's close to breaking. What if I try attacking it from a different angle instead of just smashing it head on? Stuck my left hand outside through one of the holes in the broken window. Grab the frame from the front with my right hand. I try to break it by shaking it around from both sides. My left hand started to grow ice cold from the frigid winds and rain. As I shook, fragments of glass sticking out from the broken frame poked into me, and my wrist was soon stained with blood. But if I can just get out of here, this much pain is no big deal. But I cannot get out. It's stuck. It's lumping. I cannot break it. The more finally I shook the frame, the more the glass fragments tore into my left wrist, causing me intense pain. Wait, what's... Huh? Ow. Ow, 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 ow! I realized that the glass fragments on the frame had grown longer and more spiky. It's as though an ugly beast was trying to chew my hand off with glass teeth. It's not my imagination. They actually are getting longer before my very eyes. And they're chewing my hand to bits! I tried desperately to pull my hand out, but it had already dug deep into my wrist, and I couldn't move it. Put all my strength into it, I just heard more and more, and the glass didn't even budge. Oh god! Like you're stuck with your wrist in that piece of glass, and like it increases and increases, and I don't know what is going on, but it is probably trying to refix itself so that it won't be smashed anymore. It will return to original state, which would mean that, like, this person's hand is gonna be cut. Ugh. Like entirely. What the hell? Damn it. Let go! Let go! My right fist. I hit the glass over and over, attempting to break it. But I just hurt my right fist as well, and did nothing to release my other hand. Then, my left hand, which was still stuck outside and exposed to the rain, brushed against something slimy. What? Couldn't have been a leaf blown about by the winds, or anything like that. Oh? I mean, just like the touch of someone's rain-soaked hands. Oh. Then he closed tightly around my left hand. Okay, well, I guess this is less scary, but still. Beatrice? I felt the 5 fingers. I knew that some personality in the darkness was touching my left hand. And, yeah, I know who it is. The witch of the forest. It's the witch. The terrifying witch who controls Okinjima's night. And the 2 hands soaked in the freezing rain. Gently caressed my left hand. However, though I could tell this was happening from the touch, I couldn't see anything out there in the darkness. Then, it felt about my fingers, and bent my ring finger upwards. It's gonna break. Ah! Saw something in the darkness for the first time. It was white. The darkness grinned, bared its white teeth. Then, that mouth full of eerily white teeth approached my bent back finger. Ugh. And opened wide. Yeah! It must have been laughing at me from the darkness. After all, its creepy mouth had twisted upward in a huge grin. Beatrice, if that's you, then how about we both go to the kitchen and eat some cakes, maybe? Some desserts? if you're that hungry, I don't think that finger would be really good for you at this time at night. I had a horrible idea of what it might be trying to do with my finger. Shiver ran up my spine. I resisted as much as I could, but the fangs of glass just wouldn't release my left hand. And then, after giving my finger a playful nibble, it bit down hard, crushing bone and tearing away flesh all at once, and bit it off. Crunch, rip, tear, squelch. You know, I don't play that much scary stuff. Like, I remember a time when I played, like, first-person horror games, like, I wouldn't consider those scary in my eyes anymore. So, a part of me says that, well, I'm just not that much of a fan of horror stuff. But this sort of stuff, this is pretty, like, imaginative. I mean, maybe it's because it's also in a written format, in a visual novel format, which I'm a fan of. Like, the one thing that I remember... Also, sorry if I'm if I'm stopping right over here to talk about this, because I may forget after. But the only thing that I remember, like, a horror game that was of this caliber, it was Corpse Party. I played it on the PSP. And we had, like, some elements of horror in the Umineko as well before. Well, maybe not horror, but it can be very, very gory at times. And one thing that comes to mind is the banquet at the end of episode 2. Like, if what we're seeing right over here is basically how God, what was it called again? Higurashi. That's what you guys want me to play as well. Like, if this is what the Higurashi is like, because I've been told that it is a very spooky game and such. If this is what Higurashi contains, then I'm all for it. Splat.
Ima, 何か聞こえませんでしたか?
No. Did you hear that, Erika?
僕もガタンって音を聞いたような。
A clunk?
風で窓でもガタついたんだろうぜ。何しろオンボロ屋敷だからな。
そういうのってなんだか不気味だよな。本当に魔女が屋敷の中を歩き回ってるのかなって。6年前のガキの頃には随分怯えて夜を過ごしたもんさ。
いる。ベアトリーチェはいる。
Oh, so apparently, well, I was gonna say that maybe Battler lived here for a little bit, but maybe it was also like his annual visits at a family conference in similar fashion to everyone else, maybe.
この廊下の向こうには何があるんですか? あちらには客室がございますが、今は使っておりません。
うん。ゲストハウスができたからね。それまでは客室に僕らは泊まってたんだよ。
ああ、俺も覚えてるぜ。今日のゲストハウスがあまりに綺麗なんで驚いちまった。
まあ新築だからな。私も自分の部屋をそっちに移したいもんだぜ。シャノン、エリカさんの部屋もゲストハウスでしょ?
はい、ゲストハウスにご用意させていただきました。で、ゲストハウスは屋敷から離れていると。どんな事件が起こっても互いには聞こえませんね。
やれやれ。まだ探偵モードなのかよ。
Yeah, basically.
明日の朝、全員で揃っておはようって言っただけで、がっかりしちまいそうだぜ。
Well, kind of. Everyone can say good morning, It will be a matter of time until everybody discovers the body.
確かに、さすがに明日の朝には誰かが減ってないと困ります。ねえ。
Okay, why the hell are you looking at me?
それではゲストハウスへご案内します。
The adults were apparently about to begin a conversation, and they didn't want the kids to hear. The little family conference was about to start. Yet again! The 6th annual family conference! The episode 6 edition. As the kids and Erika followed Shannon on their way to the guest house, they passed through the entrance hall.
外は今が一番の振りのようだね。
客までテレビでも見ながら、もう少し振りが弱くなるのを待ってもいいんじゃねえの？
ゲストハウスに戻りなさいってママに言われた。ゲストハウスじゃないと怒られる。おお。
ゲストハウスの方が落ち着けるぜ。不機嫌な親の声も面もごめん被るぜ。
ますますにお膳立てが整っているようで。
Erika giggled, a completely indiscreet look on her face. I got. Like, she really is that type of girl that goes all, yes, yes. She would have like a twirly mustache. She would begin to laugh like really, really silent, and then laugh like really, really loudly, and then thunderstorms, like all around. I mean, we already had like some of that stuff before. She cackles like menacingly, like in the night, with the ocean behind her, like raging oceans. We had the lightning that hit Erika in the last episode and all that. Like, all she needs is the mustache. That's it.
今傘のご用意をいたします。少々お待ちください。ちょっとずっと気になってました。あの肖像画のご婦人はどなたですか？まあぶっちゃけベアとの肖像画であることは知ってるわけですが、前回のゲームでは通り過ぎてしまっただけで面白くなかったので。
Erika whispered to herself, but of course, no one heard her. Yeah, it was mostly just a wink to the audience.
こちらは親方様の恩人ベアトリーチェ様でございます。
おじい様に莫大な黄金を授けてくれた後宮家復興の恩人だそうだよ。
ただのじい様の中の妄想の魔女だぜ。こいつの亡霊が夜な夜な屋敷の中を歩き回ってるって話らしいぜ。
よせよ。俺小さい頃はその話めちゃくちゃ苦手で、この屋敷の夜は苦手だったんだ。
Ooh. What will be even scarier than the witch going after you, battler, and stabbing you in the heart? For them to say that they have fallen in love with you, and they will torture you in a loving way for the rest of your life, Batora.
そんなこともあったね。6年経った今はどう？
すっかり忘れてたが、この肖像画をまじまじ見てるうちにまた怖い気持ちが蘇ってきちまったぜ。
ベアトリーチェは怖くないよ。敬いを持っていればね。持ってないとね、シャノン。
はい。使用人たちの間でもそうささやかれています。夜回りの使用人たちの間でも時折人影を見たとか黄金の蝶を見たとかいう噂が。
うわあ、去年だか一昨年だかに使用人の人が階段から転げ落ちて大怪我してやめたじゃん。あれ ベアトリーチェの呪いだなんてささやかれてなかったっけ。
Ooh. Just got totally like a ghost story, trying to scare Erika. But Erika just laughs disdainfully. Yeah, she's probably not a fan of horror stories. For what reasons? Well, yeah, it's up to interpretation.
なんだよ、薄気味悪いな。ただの事故だろ。偶然だろ。
おじい様がここに肖像画を掲げてすぐのことだから、一昨年のことだと思うよ。確かまさにここの大階段から落ちて怪我をしたんだよね。
It happened just after her grandfather had his portrait hung here, so it was probably the year before last.
そうそう、このバカでかい肖像画は何しろインパクトあったから。掲げられてすぐは屋敷中であれは何だと話題になったもんだよ。それでその後すぐにここで事故があったもんだから、ベアトリーチェの呪いだってことになってさ。
ベアトリーチェの階段云々はこの肖像画の後から？
いえ、その前からもベアトリーチェ様の霊が歩き回っているという噂はありました。
Yeah, true. Because the whole thing with the accident and Beatrice's portrait being displayed over here, and that is recent. But the cousins and even the adults have talked about the existence of the witch in the forest, and some of them were really scared of her. Case in point, there is Rosa.
でもこの肖像画が掲げられてからはもっとそういう話が増えた気がします。
今までは魔女ベアトリーチェと聞いても具体的なイメージが湧かなかったからだろうね。この肖像画によって具体的になり、より一層以後の階段に厚みが出たんだと思うな。
そもそも魔女ベアトリーチェなんて誰が言い出したんです？
じいさまだぜ。我が最愛の魔女ベアトリーチェってよく取り乱して叫んでたから。
Good one, Jessica.
この肖像画が出てくるまでは顔の想像もつかなかったけど。
こんな薄気味悪い肖像画がでーんと飾られたら、そりゃ階段の一つや二つできて当然だろうぜ。
Jessica would probably be the type of girl who would go on the internet and make lots and lots of memes of Kinzo.
音楽室のベートーベンの肖像画も、学校創立者の銅像も、みんなちょうどいい階段の音章じゃねえか。
確かにこんなに古風な薄暗いお屋敷でずっとこんな風雨の音を聞いていたら、そういう階段の一つや二つ生まれてもおかしくはなさそうです。まあ所詮は階段、妄想、おとぎ話、取るにも足らない寝ぼけたうつけ者のざれ言以下ですが。
Erika looked up at the portrait and smiled at it defiantly. Maria's face immediately soured, as though she felt that this smile was disrespectful to Balto.
ベアトリーチェはいる。そんなこと言ってるときっとエリカに魔女の呪いがあるよ。
おや、怖い怖い。魔女の呪い、大いに望むところですよ、ベアトリーチェ。
これでエリカが明日の朝変死してたら、魔女殺人事件の幕開けだな。おいおい、お前探偵なんだろ。探偵がいきなり殺されるなんて斬新すぎるぜ。
おや、それは困りますね。現場検証に差し支えます。なるほど、ノックスにも 探偵を殺してはならないとは書いてありませんし。
True. The detective cannot be the culprit, but a detective being killed, like, even at the beginning? That's not out of the realm of possibilities, if we are to think of Nox.
マリア、いいもの持ってる。ベアトリーチェの呪いを防げるお守り。
お守り？そんなのあるのか？
After fishing around in her bag, Maya pulled out a string of beads attached to a medal that has scorpion drawn on it. Hey. They look like a cheap prize from an arcade or something.
何ですこれ？
The scorpion charm.
魔除けのお守りなの。効果は弱いけれど、これをつけてれば今夜一晩はきっとベアトリーチェの呪いを避けられるよ。
他にもクモの巣が魔除けに効くとも聞きました。
Yeah, you would know that from Kumasa herself.
うん。ベアとはきっと蝶の化身だから雲も苦手なんだね。
あれ？それは悪食島の悪霊が苦手な方じゃなかったっけ？熊沢さんが詳しいよな、そういうの。
Yeah.
魔女に悪霊？少し興味を持ちました。よかったらゲストハウスでもう少し話を聞かせてもらえませんか？
こちらが皆さんの傘です。お使いください。外はまだだいぶ雨が強いのでお気をつけください。
Shannon handed out the umbrellas she had brought. Everyone headed towards the front door. Alright, let's go. After that, when there were none left standing in front of the portrait, a gold butterfly appeared. Then, expanding out into a spray of gold, he took her human form. In the hall, empty now that the children had left, Dato stood alone and silent, looking up at her own portrait. Without a doubt, the figure depicted there was like her, as an image in the mirror. However, it felt as though its eyes and expression are just a little different from hers. From her perspective, while the person in this portrait was almost infinitely close to herself, it was just as surely a different person entirely.
あなたは誰なんでしょう？私にどうかあなたという人を教えてください。
That had already finished reading the fragments from Federer's archive that showed the tales of all the games so far. However, the witch called Beatrice who had been depicted in them had been so vastly different from her. At the very end, it looked as though that witch and Beller had connected just a little bit as adversaries. But for the most part, Beatrice had just bullied and bullied Beller in nearly all the tales. Even though this was about her, she had no idea why Beatrice had tormented Beller so much, when she had supposedly been born for Beller's sake. All she had learned from Federine's archive was that the former Beato was a completely different person who defied understanding.
あなたに何があったのですか？私はあなたの卵、そしてヒナ。あなたの翼はお父様のためにあったはず。
So, I guess what Beato read in Federine's archive is just the previous games. We're not talking about the history behind Beatrice before the game started or anything like that. Like, if I'm understanding this right, what Beato read is basically the same what I read. So she still has yet to understand what happened. What made Beatrice go through this entire thing.
それがいつ片翼をもがれ、あのように変わり果ててしまったのですか。
She had also been listening to the conversation Beller and the others had just been having. Beatrice can handle scorpion charms. Beatrice can deal with spiderwebs. It wasn't as though she would like to touch either of those if she had a choice, but nothing bad would happen if she did. Was being perfectly fine around those prove that she wasn't Beatrice? And even though it was about herself, she didn't understand at all. So she quietly gazed into her own eyes on the portrait.